All right. Before I get started here talking football, just perspective on things, I want to mention the Knox family, what Dawson and his family are going through today. I think it's important to keep proper perspective on things and how important that is, and again, that we're thinking of them and wish we could be there with them. So our love goes out to them. As far as the football game goes, a lot of good things. I thought the offense got out to a good start. Defensively, what stood out to me was the way we finished the game, finished strong there at the end. That was a good effort to see, and then special teams chipped in where they could chip in as well. But still a lot to work on. As you know, penalties, tackling. I didn't think some of our coverage units were where they needed to be, kickoff return there. So a lot to work on as coaches, as players. Certainly understand where Denver is and what they were doing today, not playing their starters, and a lot of respect for Nate and George and what they're trying to do and how early they are in their build. I thought the fans were outstanding for a preseason game. I think some of our new players, again, their eyes were opened up a little bit more in terms of what this community is like and how it comes together and supports this team. So anyway, good afternoon, and still a lot of work to be done. So I'll turn it over to you.
Sean, was it nice to see Case kind of bounce back from last week?
Yeah, it was, and I thought really when he came in the day after the game last week, you could just tell. And again, it wasn't an overreaction, but it was a professional's approach, and not that it wasn't before, but you could just tell he was dialed in on what he wanted to get done this week.
Was the plan always one series for Josh, or did it go so well that you just decided you had seen enough?
Yeah, just overall, not just Josh, Jay, but overall for the starters, just to feel. I wanted to go into the game and just feel it out, and Josh included. I just felt like he was in a good spot and had success, and really wanted to get Case out there as well with the ones and have him get a feel of taking a snap from Mitch and some of those things also.
How pleased were you today of how you guys played up front, O-line, D-line?
Yeah, of course, we always look at the film up front because it's hard to see, but the numbers in the run game at the line of scrimmage, jump out to me. And, we were in some advantageous second down situations on offense, and then limited to third downs overall. So that's when you can do that, that's some good work there.
Shaq Lawson had a couple of splash plays today, and we talked a lot about what he brings in the room. But to get that maybe production from him on the field, how excited are you about what he does?
Yeah, he's, we got off to a good start here a few years ago when he was here, and then he went on a hiatus for a couple of years and came back, and it's good to have him back in the fold here, and love his energy.
Coach, when you have the efficiency and the productivity that you did on offense, how do you kind of keep people grounded? I realize it's a preseason game, so you probably wouldn't have too tough a time with that, but it goes so well, but you don't want to get, carried away with how easy it seemed to be.
Yeah, again, that's why I said you got to keep proper perspective. Let's start with life and what we just talked about with Dawson, what he's going through, and then you look at the first drive, on our defense, and we allow them to extend drives via penalties, just the tackling early in the game. So we just look at the film, and there's plenty for us to work on. And then again, they didn't play their starters, so keep everything in perspective.
There's always that balance between playing your starters and getting everybody ready for that first game in LA. How do you feel now getting through this and the way everybody played going forward now and getting in that regular season mode? Do you feel comfortable with the amount of time your main guys have gotten in these couple of games so far?
Yeah, I think their focus has certainly been where it needs to be. We've put in good work in practice, and I think that really goes back to the veteran leaders on our team and the way that they approach practice. It's intense, as you guys see it. It's intense. It's ones versus ones. We get in a lot of good work out there, and that makes my job easier just by the way that they approach practice and what we can get out of a practice. So, I'm appreciative of that.
Sean, now Raheem Blackshear, just in these first two preseason games, what have you seen developmental-wise, just along the way?
Yeah, he's got great juice. You can just feel him when he's out there. You feel the burst, whether it's in the return game or when he's carrying the ball in offense, catches the ball in the backfield. Plays his role, so he's in in a pretty crowded situation right now. So, but very impressive to this point.
Spencer starting in the second offensive line behind Questenberry, is that part of him working his way back, or why have Questenberry start in front of him?
Well, yeah, I mean, Spencer hasn't, in fairness to Spencer, he hasn't been able to be out there as much as he'd like or we would have liked to this point. He's coming off of an injury, and so trying to bring him back the right way and building his endurance and getting him more and more comfortable as the days and weeks move forward here.
James Cook today just looked more decisive in what he was doing than he did last week. Did you notice that maybe coming this week in practice, or just assess what you saw today?
Yeah, I thought all the backs ran well today. They really did. They were decisive. Give credit to the offensive line as well. That's where it starts up front when you're moving that line of scrimmage, and it just, the continuity, if you will, of what the line was doing and where the running backs were hitting it. They seemed to be on the same page, and that's an important part of our offense.
You mentioned the running backs there. When you draft a guy like Cook as high as you did, naturally it leads to some questions about maybe some of the guys you have on the roster. Zach Moss has seemed to respond really positively in both preseason games and including today. How have you seen him respond to maybe that challenge, for lack of a better word?
Well, I think really it's, for Zach, it's separate of us bringing in another player. There is competition there, and I think it's good for all of us. But Zach, we saw a refocused player this offseason. Again, he was healthy going into this offseason, which was important, and I give him a lot of credit. He's worked his tail off to get himself where he is, and I think he's had probably one of the more consistent training camps to this point.
Sean, how has Cody Ford's summer been?
His summer? You mean his training camp, or?
Yeah, mini camp, training camp, preseason.
Yeah, I think he's done a really good job. He really has. You saw him finishing off blocks in a physical manner today. That stood out to me, and I think he's had a phenomenal training camp to this point.
Is there a difference at all with Aaron Kromer as the coach versus Bobby with, I don't know, maybe just picking up different thoughts or whatever it be for Cody and his development?
No, I mean, I think they're both really good offensive line coaches, and speaking on Kromer, I think he's been around, and he's a veteran offensive line coach, and you guys know him. He's been here before, and I have a lot of trust in Aaron and what he does for our front, and I think he's building a good dynamic with our offensive staff.
Coach, how much is the point of emphasis inside the red zone been about being more efficient and physical at the same time?
Well, on offense or defense or both? Yeah, I mean, it's really emphasized on both sides, offensively and defensively. You've got to be strong in the red zone. Good offenses are going to get down there, so defensively we have to hold them, and then obviously on the other side of the ball we need 7 when we get down there, and that's what we had today.
You had the point of emphasis apparently this year with the officials is the illegal contact on the DBs, and you had Benford had one, Jackson I think had a PI. Just, are you prepared for the point of emphasis and how it's going to be so closely called, and you've got some young guys back there?
Yeah. Well, we have to continue to adjust, Sal, and that's an area of where we need work, quite honestly. And I mentioned it coming in here, the penalties. You can't give offenses extra chances to extend drives and so on and so forth. So we have plenty to clean up.
Raheem mentioned Duke specifically as somebody that's really helped show him the way, and Duke kind of deflected that when we asked him about it. That has nothing to do with him, he said. What have you seen from Duke adding in that running back?
Yeah, Duke's, I mean, he's done a great job, in his own way of with the carries he's gotten, with the returns he's gotten. He's really controlled those situations and those opportunities and done a phenomenal job. And then what he's done intangibly on our team and how he's helped young players. I mean, it's just, I can't say enough about what he's done and how he's gone about his business. He's a true pro, and he's had a great influence on our team.
I know you're never going to root against your offense, but to just have one punt today, where is the competition at, and what do you still need to see from both of those guys?
Yeah, I got booed by a couple of the players on our sideline. So those guys will no longer make the team. One guy did cheer for me, and he'll make the team. So, yeah, unpopular decision on the sideline. But wanted to, again, get our punt unit out there and evaluate some of those guys as well. But what was your question again? Punting versus going for?
What are you saying to see from both of them, and just, is there a timeline for when you want to make that decision?
With the punters?
Yes.
Well, I thought both had a pretty good week in practice, and Matt Haack got the opportunity today and put another ball inside or around the 10-yard line, I believe it was. So I thought he did a real nice job, and Araiza didn't get any opportunities, obviously, but he did hold today. So we'll just see as we take it one day at a time moving forward here.
Sean, I can't believe I'm asking a punting question. It's just not my thing. It's more Joe's thing. He was mad there wasn't a punt to Palooza today. 2 weeks in a row, Haack has taken that punt from the 50. We know Araiza can boom them. I'm just wondering why you didn't give him the chance for that more finesse type of punt 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. Just wanted to follow through on what we said we would do, and really we were going to start the game with Matt Haack getting the first opportunity, and that's really when it came. So I wanted to follow through on that.
What are your thoughts on Nick McLeod's decision to get back in the game?
Well, what he went through, and then to get himself back out there, I think it really speaks to his toughness. And anytime you're going through something like that, or other things that were going on for a couple of our players before the game, and then Dawson's overall, the mental toughness. There's a mindset that you got to take into a game, and in Nick's case, going back in there after getting the laceration that he had is impressive and much appreciated.
Josh and Ken working together today for the first time in a game setting. How did you feel their communication was? Obviously the smooth scoring drive, but how did it seem from them on the sideline?
Yeah, it seemed to flow rather well. Again, those are things that we evaluate every week as coaches, and that communication and what happens on the sideline, what happens from the booth to the sideline, and vice versa, and then to the field with Josh in this case. So I thought it flowed rather smoothly, and I think it's always something that we're working on, and over time they'll get more and more comfortable with one another.